Now let's bring in Baruch. Why is Baruch left out of Protestant Bibles? Some say it's because it's in Greek and not in Hebrew. But scholars say it may have actually been in Hebrew originally, and scraps of it in the original Hebrew seem to have been found. Was it included in the earliest Bibles? Yeah, it was. Both Baruch and Matthew are included in all the earliest Bibles. Was it used by the early church? Yes, both were cited, preached, used in worship. Church fathers quoted Baruch as scripture, declared it to be apostolic preaching. Canon lists and councils both affirm Baruch. Up until the first person to possibly exclude Baruch was Jerome. That's 350 years after Christ. And only him, no one else before 450 AD, as I discuss in my book. The theological similarities. Matthew is devoted to showing that Jesus was a fulfillment of prophecy. And Baruch, the book of Baruch, it contains a prophecy that God would appear on earth and converse with men. And in the early church, when it was claimed that it was foretold that God would become man, the prophecy that the early church preached is Baruch. There are other things that Protestants and other Christians refer to as prophecies that God would become man, but the one that the early church preached was Baruch. Baruch is the part of the long form of Jeremiah, a version of Jeremiah that included Baruch and Lamentations. Not infrequently, it was Jeremiah, Baruch, then Lamentations, which is kind of strange if Baruch is not considered part, but Lamentations is. And Protestants sometimes see Baruch as inauthentic because it's part of this long form, that the only authentic one was the shorter form. But that is really the same thing with Matthew. Nearly all of Mark is in Matthew. More than half of Matthew actually comes from Mark. And the reason why we see Matthew as a separate apostolic witness and not as a fake long form of Mark is because of the testimony of Irenaeus and the fourfold gospel. And Irenaeus is the exact same person who says that the apostles preached the long form of Jeremiah, which included Baruch. When you look at all these things in a fair light, what exactly is the reason why Matthew is definitely apostolic and Baruch is definitely not?